Welcome, everybody, to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for those of you who have tuned in to watch us here live from the lockdown living room. That's right, we are here broadcasting to you about 20 miles outside of downtown Atlanta. And once again, we're talking sports today and dealing with all the stuff that's going on with the COVID. Once again, COVID has reared its ugly head in multiple sports, so we'll be getting into that throughout the broadcast. And again, we thank God for those of you who have tuned in to us to watch us. We also thank God for those of you who are watching the replay. Welcome, replay viewers on Periscope, and also welcome all those of you who might be watching us on various platforms around the world. We thank God for you. Let's thank God for those who are listening and watching on various groups. We broadcast this show on multiple platforms, including the radio, audio on WIGO AM 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio. Big shout out to the producer back there, Mr. Minister Carl Eli Smith. He does a great job for us there at WIGO. He also has his own ministry broadcast, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday, with the exception of Wednesday. And you can check him out for great inspirational music. And he does a great job there for WIGO. Well, like I said, guys, a lot of stuff has been going on in the world of sports. You know, the last few weeks we've had really a complete upheaval with, quarterbacks changing hands. I mean, big name players like Cam Newton obviously making moves. Jamal Adams from the Jets, no longer a Jet now, Seattle Seahawks. We're going to talk about that stuff. And NFL camps are now officially open. So we're going to get into that. And then we're going to have our experts talk to us about baseball. What on earth is happening in Major League Baseball, man? It is like the great COVID attack. So we're going to talk to Brian Jones, who's our baseball expert, talk to you a little bit about that. Also, we want to talk about the NBA bubble, what's happening there, who broke out of the bubble because he was hungry. So if we want to find out more about that, you got to keep it locked right here to the Real Talk Sports Show. Remember, you can follow us anywhere on social media. And the place to follow us is at Real Talk Sports 7, or you can follow me personally at Minister J Sim. So that's the best way to follow us and check us out, Minister J Sim. Or you can also watch me on at Real Talk Sports 7. I'm on all platforms, including on Real Talk Sports 7. We're on Snapchat, and we also are on TikTok. Don't ask me why we're on TikTok. As you can see here, I'm sporting my attire here from the last big event we went to cover. Let me pop the shades on here. Let me get them on right quick. Got the shades on and popping now. This is how I rolled when I was in Miami covering the Super Bowl. This is how we did it. Had the shades popping, had the wonderful cotton suit, wearing the Miami blue sport coat, sport shirt. So we had it on and popping there as we were down in Miami covering Super Bowl 53. It seems like, man, that was like many, many moons ago when we were checking them out and covering them. But I had to kind of redo the outfit here and make it do what it do. Let's go hit the social media here and see some of the comments that are happening here. There's a big shout out from our producer, Eli Smith, just letting you guys know again that we are on live on WIGO. And also you can listen on WIGOAM.com. You also can check us out on realtalksports.net as well. Like I said, guys, there's been some crazy stuff going on here with the COVID. We do have some other news here that we're going to let you guys see on the screen. We, as you guys know who follow us, we do some high school football coverage. And once again, we will be covering high school football this year. We'll be covering primarily on the south side of town in Clayton County. And I'm going to pop up that we think we actually have the schedule that we're going to take a look at here. So we're going to see if we can get the schedule up on Facebook. And also for those of you on Periscope can see it. Let's pop it up here. And we're going to do it in just a second here. That's the revised schedule. You guys can see it now on the screen. That's the revised schedule for Clayton County. That is the games that we're going to be covering. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but that's the game that we're going to be covering, doing big stuff in Clayton County, covering them. So we're excited about the opportunity to cover high school football. Once again, we have some big games on the horizon. We're going to be covering most of the games in Tara Stadium. We're also going to be covering the games in, let's see, we'll be covering. We'll also be covering big games out at 12 Oak Stadium, which is out there in Lovejoy. Lovejoy is going to be taking on some of the big powers from other counties. They'll be taking on at that stadium two big games. North Gwinnett, who has been a perennial power. And speaking of perennial power, they'll also be taking on the Eagles Landing, 4-time defending Class A state champion. Like I tell you guys, these guys don't look like a Class A team to me. They are just big beasts and brutes. So we look forward to covering those games and bringing that to you from live on the scene every Friday night. It's going to be Friday Night Lights on the Real Talk Sports Show and occasionally Thursday night live on the Real Talk Sports Show as well. Well, let me ask you guys a question. Again, we'll go to social media real quick. Go to Periscope. Nick, what's up, buddy? Thanks for watching us on Periscope. Please share the broadcast. All those of you who are watching us on Periscope, share. We always appreciate you, and we appreciate all the love from the folks over at Periscope, which, of course, as you know, is Twitter TV. Yeah, so high school football looks like it's full throttle. The Georgia High School Sports Association has, in fact, okayed fall sports, especially football. So all of the big games are going to be coming up. Also, the Corky Kell Classic. We look forward to bringing on some of the coaches who will be playing in that. For those of you who are not from the area, the Corky Kell Classic is a huge football tournament. I think it consists of about 16 teams that play one another in various areas around Metro Atlanta. And usually it culminates with the Final Four games being played at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's not going to happen this year. They're going to move it to another site. But definitely high school football, big-time high school football will be being played here in Georgia. Because for those people who don't know, the Atlanta metro area has now become a hotbed for, for sports recruiting in Atlanta. I want to give a big shout out to another person that joined us here on Facebook Live, Sean Edward Ware, actually Pastor Sean Edward Ware, wonderful church in Clayton County. Thank him for joining us here, and he's given us a lot of, applause and thumbs up, and we appreciate him very, very much. A guy who's very active, young guy, but everybody's young to me. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people that are, basically under my age are young to me. But he's a young man, now a grandfather. We want to salute him. His kids have gotten married and now producing another generation in the Ware family. So big shout out to him and his wife as they, again, have a ministry right there in Clayton County. And, brother, you certainly can put it up on the screen, and I will pop it up for you so that people know where you are in Clayton County. Word Up Ministries, you also can find them on Facebook. They broadcast every Sunday on Facebook Live as well. So that's what's cooking, guys. Let me ask this question here. Question I would like to know from the viewers is, what sport, college football, NFL, or not MBS, I should say NBA game, that's a typo, what game would you risk going to see in person? Love to get your comments. You can go ahead and type it up on the, put your comments up on Facebook or on Periscope, and I'll read the answer to that question. But what college football or NFL or NBA game? God have mercy. I don't know. That's a misprint right there. It should be NBA. Let me go ahead and fix that right quick. What team would you go see? What game would you say, you know what? I don't care about Corona. I don't care about COVID. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to make it do what it do. I'm going to do it. Which one would you go see? Would it be an NFL game? Would it be an NBA game? Or be a college football game? Let us know here. Put the comments up on Facebook and or on Periscope, and we will put your answer up on the screen for all to see. So again, what college, NFL, NBA game would you risk the COVID to see? The other question I got: should Major League Baseball stop their season? Should Major League Baseball stop their season? They've had a huge outbreak of the coronavirus, and we're going to be talking to our expert Brian Jones to get his opinion on that. But what do you think? The Miami Marlins basically have been shut down. For those of you who don't know, Miami Marlins have had multiple players test positive for COVID-19 to the point where they've now had to shut the games down. They've not been able to play games at all. It's real crazy. Let's go to social media again, see some comments here. Social media. Let's see here. Reverend Son Edward Ware has popped up his address for his ministry. If you guys want to check him out on Sunday, they now are once again worshiping under guidelines of safe practicing. Okay, so it's 2260 Lake Harbin Road in Morrow, Georgia. Wednesday, 7 p.m., Sunday, 11 a.m. And again, you can check them out at Word Worship Center page right here on Facebook. And yeah, he didn't know that, the Marlins, it's been a major situation, multiple players testing for COVID. But here's the thing about the COVID-19, and I just want to say this here. It's I'm just not quite sure what is all behind this. One of the things is I know a lot of people from not only doing a sports show, but also a ministry show. I happen to know a guy who was very involved in counterterrorism and also in biological warfare. And he has said that there's more to the COVID than meets the eye. And he feels that we're not really getting a true understanding of what the coronavirus is and how we really can get it. And he's even mentioned, like you see so many people say, hey, we don't believe in the mask. Well, he thinks that the masks are going to be ineffective for doing, to actually protecting us from the virus. The other thing too is that we have heard from various YouTube and Facebook posts by what appears to be legitimate people that this virus doesn't really act like a virus. They talk about people having blood clot problems. They talk about people having blood discoloration, blood thickening. So I'm just wondering, are we really truly getting the real deal on this whole coronavirus situation? I'm beginning to become more and more skeptical as the time goes on. Those new watch me, through my own personal page and ministry page, know that I'm not really conspiracy buff, but I'm seeking the truth. And I hate to really talk about this in a sports show, but the COVID-19 pandemic has so greatly affected sports, and sports is a huge part of our economic engine here in the United States. So that's why we bring this up every week, because it impacts us each and every week as we hear about, and even the way the news people describe it, a corona outbreak. Well, an outbreak is what? An outbreak sounds like you got a whole team of players infected. That's not really what happened. You had a few players on the Marlins that were infected. The problem is it's beyond what is suitable for if you're trying to get your team back out there and play in a season, because every time these guys get the positive test, they have to go into quarantine, and in many cases the team can no longer play the games. Okay, that's how it works. That's how this whole coronavirus pandemic is all working, is that you can't play. You have to quarantine. You have to take players out. So, the big question is, what the heck is causing it, and what can we do to safely go out here and play? As far as Georgia High School Association, it's on and popping. They're going to go ahead and play the games. I'm going to read you guys some of the outstanding games that we're going to be covering right here on the Real Talk Sports Show in conjunction with WIGO. So we have some great inter-county games. It starts off with Stone Mountain coming down tomorrow and playing a preseason game. That will be happening on the 21st. We will not be broadcasting any preseason games at all. The first actual game will be September the 3rd, a Thursday night game, as DeKalb County McNair High School comes down to tee off against Forest Park. Monday's Mill will go up the road and play Lovejoy. Jonesboro will be at Mount Zion at Terra Stadium, and Riverdale at North Clayton. So all your rivalry games, or some of your rivalry games, will be played right up front in the first couple of weeks of the season. And right after that, Morrow will play against Forest Park on September the 11th. First real big game that we have here will be a cross county and cross class size game. 4-time defending Class A state champion Eagles Landing will come on down to 12 Oak Stadium to take on the Lovejoy Wildcats. Lovejoy, another team that's a perennial playoff team. So we look forward to that to be a huge battle. And then just a few weeks later, actually the next week, September 25th, Lovejoy will host another perennial power, North Gwinnett. So again, guys, we got some big games coming up throughout the season, and you hope that you guys will lock it in. And not only that, we want to ask you that if you have a business, we are looking for sponsors. We are looking for sponsors. We will send you out a sponsor package. You can give me a call, 678-410-9833, or you can send me an email, jsimmons, so that's JSIMMONS, at realtalksports.net. We'd love to have you be part of our advertising group. We support kids. Last year when we did the broadcast, we actually gave each team, winning and losing team, a $50 check after the game to help cover some of their dinner expenses for the young people. So we don't just take the money and use it strictly for our own good. We also go ahead and, again, distribute that out to the schools. So please, ma'am, please, sir, get in contact with us. We'd love to let you go ahead and be part of our sponsor group here. Let's go back to social media. Vincent W. Turner, a.k.a. Mr. Football, is giving a big shout out to the 901 and to the Memphis Tigers, both their football team, who's been on the come up the last 5 or 10 years, and also the legendary Memphis Tigers basketball team with a former player there, Penny Hardaway, is the head coach. So a big shout out to them, and big shout out to Mr. Football. He does a great show on right here on Facebook Live called 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. He's actually the guy that got me started in that, so we appreciate him, and we thank God for him always for jumping in on the broadcast. I will pop that question up one more time. Again, I want to know, boys and girls, I want to know, what game would you go see? NFL, college football, or NBA game would you risk going to see in person right now? I don't care what happening, corona outbreak, what teams would you watch in person right now? You say, I don't care if I get me a ticket, it's on the pop and I'm gone. Who would that be? Let us know here. I'm going to put the comment also in social media right now. I'm going to post it for all those of you to see. Please go ahead and type in your answer here on social media. What college football, NFL, or NBA game would you risk seeing live and in person, corona notwithstanding? Let us know. We'll put you right up here on the air. Well, guys, speaking again of corona, we just want to break the news to you again. The Miami Marlins have been banned from playing any more games right now. They continue to have players testing positive for COVID-19, so they will not be playing games for, I think, a couple of more days. They are actually out of the picture, will not be playing any games at all. So clearly, my question is, with Major League Baseball, I mean, should they continue to play or should they take a timeout? I mean, should they stop the season? That's my next question. Should Major League Baseball continue to play in spite of not only the Marlins having a few players testing positive, but several players opting out to begin that season? So let me pop that question up again here for you. Should baseball stop the season? I'm also going to put it on social media. And speaking of social media, we're going to go back there in just a moment and check out what's happening on Facebook and on Periscope. Let's go to social media right now here. Sean Edward Minister Ware said, I don't care what is going on, corona or not. I will see the Lakers and LeBron and the unibrow play anybody, anywhere. So this Sean Edward Ware says he's going to go in faith in the Lord and going out there and watch the Lakers wherever they play. Well, speaking of watch, we have a person that many of you guys enjoy watching. She is the one of the original founders of a huge Facebook page for Georgia Bulldogs fans. She runs the Ultimate Bulldog Nation, and we're going to welcome her on to the show a little early. Iris Vanbroek Carter. Iris, are you there?
Hey, guys. I'm okay. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. And as you can see, the one thing, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think you can hear me pretty good. Okay. The good news is, guys, one of the things that we love about Ladies Night is that we have the lovely ladies on. You can see Miss Carter has a beautiful hairstyle here. We're going to let her take the whole screen. And Miss Carter, we're going to ask you if you could turn down whatever you have in the background. That'd be great. It's like you got a TV show on or something going on. She's watching a little TV while she's on the air. All right. We're going to pop her on screen.
Right.
There she is. New hairstyle that she's sporting here for us here on the Real Talk Sports Show. So, Iris, how have you been?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm doing good.
Well,
Yeah.
praise the Lord. I know you
Am
are
I
also
delayed a little bit? Hmm.
just a little bit. We
I'm
have you
sorry.
just on a slight. You have you on a slight delay. We're not sure what's causing that, but we have you on a
Oh,
very
okay.
slight delay. But again, you look great.
Okay.
It's good to have you back in the
Thank
building.
you. Oh, it's
But what
good
do
to
you
be
think?
here. It's good to be here.
So, what do you think about this idea of? Is there any team, NBA, NFL, or college football that you would say coronavirus or not, I would go play and I would go see them in person?
Of course, I would say my Georgia Bulldogs. Come on now, that was too easy. That was too easy. Of
Well,
course, I'll go see my Georgia Bulldogs.
and speaking
Without
of
a
that,
doubt.
the idea of people coming into the stadium, it looks like the rumors are, at least in the NFL, that the protocol would be up to approximately 25% of the
hmm
stadium seat. Would that be okay with you? Because we're talking Sanford Stadium seats about 90,000.
Right, right. Um, you've posed this question before. Initially, I said I wouldn't. But I had an experience not too long ago. I had to go out to Phoenix for some training, and they had us spaced out in this particular room. But everyone, it was very organized. So actually, I would, because I would feel kind of comfortable being in my own little bubble, so to speak. So yeah, I would go. I was looking forward to going to the game this year because they have a game on my birthday this year. So
All right.
hopefully.
Well, I think that
hmm
we are going to play, as I mentioned earlier before you came on.
hmm
It looks like the high school is leading the way. The Georgia High School State
Oh, okay.
Sports Association, they said that they are going to have high school
hmm
football. Matter of fact, the teams are going to have their first
Oh,
scrimmage,
okay.
I think, the third week of August.
Oh, good, good, good. Yeah, they are pretty much. I mean, everything kind of is played off of what's going on with high school sports. It's kind of what I've been hearing through the grapevine. So if the high school teams are playing, then of course the colleges will play. And I haven't heard anything different that they will not play. And I got some updates about practices and what's going on. Um, haven't heard about anyone at Georgia being quarantined because of the coronavirus, but I know some stuff that's going on. Let me pull this up with practices. So, anyway, we'll get into that a little later.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I was concerned to see if you had heard any news about your Bulldogs. And we're going to go once again back to social media. Let's take a
Yes.
peek here.
Yes. hmm
And we have a gentleman here from on Periscope. Wall is I don't know who Ginger is, but he's saying Ginger. That's what it is. Iris, are you watching a television show? Because we're hearing a lot of like background talking. Are you?
Yeah, I did have on a show, but yeah, it's turned off now.
Amen.
Are we okay now?
We're great. Yeah, we're fantastic now. At first, I was like, okay,
Okay, okay,
well,
okay, okay.
I thought maybe we're going to be part of a reality show as well. I wasn't
Yeah.
quite sure.
No, I don't want to do that.
Well, yeah, guys. Again, we are very excited. Like I said, a lot of stuff is going on, and we're going to bring
hmm
Waletti back on, and he wants to know what we're talking about. Well, what we were talking about, my friend, is the big question is that what game, what team would you go see in spite of the coronavirus? And this is for Waletti on Periscope. That's the big question. What college football, NFL, or NBA game would you risk going to see in person? I probably should. That's probably not a nice thing to say, risk going to see in person, because at the end of the day, I'm sure all the safety protocols
Well,
are in place.
honestly, anytime you go outside, you're risking something. When you go to the grocery store, or go to the gas station, so it's a risk. I know several friends that have either had the coronavirus or they have it right now. So they're definitely in
Yeah,
my prayers.
and we experienced that at my place of business. We've had a couple of people to get it, and they are now back at work after going through the protocol. Well, Eddie says that he'd be willing to
Yeah.
go out and see soccer. He said soccer's his sport. He'd be
Okay.
willing to go see it. And I know here in Atlanta, a lot of Atlanta United fans would feel the same way. They would be more than happy to get out here and see some soccer. So, again, that was the question, guys. We got some good
Yeah.
opinions. We heard that one person said they would go see LeBron and the Lakers play anybody anywhere, and Waletti said that he would go see a soccer game anywhere, and Iris said that she would be willing to watch her Bulldogs pretty much anywhere play some football. Me
Mm-hmm.
personally, I
That's
think
right.
probably I think probably for me, I'd probably be inclined to. I think the Falcons. I think an NFL game would probably be the big thing for me to go out and take some type of risk. I think so. That's uh,
Okay.
that's that's kind of where we are on that, guys. Um, the other question was, should Major League Baseball stop the season? That was the other question. Okay, let's go here and look at Waletti here. And he says coronavirus is good for us to lower the rate of elders. Waletti, that's a harsh statement, but I hate to say that conspiracy part guy of me
Oh.
thinks that is could be behind some of this. And I hate to be so controversial on a sports show, but we do like to keep it real. And that was the comment that we got from Waletti. He says um, it's about lowering the rate of elders. People have heard me talk about the fact that there is a huge financial burden for us aging baby boomers, and there is also a huge deficit to the Social Security fund. And what better way to help ease that by not having as many people having to draw down off the
Yeah.
fund and need any type of medical aid? So again, I know it seems a little harsh, but there is, I believe, some truth to that. So that's I'll just leave that right there. Like I said, guys, you're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast from a unique place. We call it the Lockdown Living Room. We're here just about 20 miles outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Got Irish fan Bro Carter in the building, and I'm your host, Mr. Jonathan Simmons, and we are broadcasting to you on multiple platforms, including Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope, which is Twitter TV, and the audio on WIGO AM 1570. And also the video stream is on WIGOAM.com. So if you say you can't find this, lie, your pants on fire, because we be everywhere. Virus, the other thing that certainly we're going to talk about in the second half of the broadcast is we're going to get into a little bit about the college football season. And we're going to do that in just a few minutes. We're going to take a break and then talk to you about some of the things you've been hearing at Georgia about the season. The SEC, the rumblings are they're going to play just a conference schedule, and the idea of having a
Mm-hmm.
conference schedule plus one. And so we're going to ask people who their plus one would be
Mm-hmm.
if they're in the SEC. And then later on in the broadcast, we're going to bring on our good buddy of the show, Mr. D. Orlando Ledbetter, because he was virtually on the scene as the Falcons reopened up the NFL camps. So again, guys, we got lots of football to talk about. We'll talk a little bit of basketball because I do want to get Iris's opinion from a woman's point of view. Do you think it's worth breaking the bubble to go to the strip club to get some wings, like young Mr. Williamson did? All right, guys, keep it locked right here. We're going to take a break, and you're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show on Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO 1570. Also live streaming on WIGOAM.com and on RealTalkSports.net. We'll be back in just a minute. Keep it locked right here.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
All right, and we are back here on the Real Talk Sports Show. We are live broadcasting to you from the Lockdown Living Room. I'm your host, Mr. Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for all those of you who have decided to join us here on this Tuesday night, where once again our sports world is rocked by Corona. I just tell people we're living in Coronaville, but we're safe here because, like I said again, we're in the Lockdown Living Room. We're going to talk to our baseball expert in just a moment. He's a guy that has covered a multitude of sports. He also now gets involved with pop culture as well. you guys are very familiar with him. The one and only Brian Jones is in the building. Brian, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much for having me on, Jonathan. I really appreciate it.
Hey, so Brian, the Irish this is back. Amen. Little technical difficulties from Miss Sandro.
Yeah, I went down to 0% battery, so I'm sorry, guys.
That's why I call it the Real Talk Sports Show. You never know what may happen on the Real Talk Sports Show. Well, Brian, listen, baseball news has been buzzing, obviously with kind of shockwaves what's going on with the Marlins, with them basically not being able to play games, with multiple players testing positive for COVID. So where does Major League Baseball go from here, in your opinion?
Well, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said they're moving forward with the season. They have tested over 6,000. They've done over 6,000 tests, and they've gotten no new positives other than the 15 positives with the Marlins. And there's a report that came out today that when the Marlins were in Atlanta playing their exhibition game last week, a few of the Marlins players, at least one of them, went out on the town, and that's when they got positive, which led to the outbreak. Now, I don't know if that's has been confirmed or not, but that's where it looks like the outbreak is coming. That's what has led to 15 Marlins players now testing positive for COVID-19. But when you're talking about the other 29 teams, no other new positives have come into play. So this is something that the Marlins will have to learn from. I think when it comes to Major League Baseball, it'll be something that they learn from as well. So even though it looks bad, I think Major League Baseball is doing a pretty good job when it comes to handling the COVID-19 protocols, and they're able to move forward with the 2020 season.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's really interesting to me that Atlanta still, these many years later, they just can't leave those strip clubs alone. They just gotta get out there and get in the middle of it once again. What'd you say?
It's a staple in Atlanta. It's a staple.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because Elle Duncan, who's an ESPN analyst and reporter now, a lot of people don't realize that she got her start here in Atlanta. She used to do the sideline reporting for the Atlanta Falcons. She also used to be on one of the great shows, and I always like to tell people this is a show that really set opened the door for shows like Stephen A. Smith, guys like that, and Shannon Sharp, who were able to come on with a more urban, more clearly African-American way of presenting things, which is Two Live Stews. She used to be with them as well. And the first thing she said on ESPN was like, well, the strip clubs are like you said, it's like an Atlanta landmark. It's a staple. And I'm thinking, that's your city known for, you not for civil rights, it's for the strip clubs. So I don't know. It just is very comical to hear that once again the Atlanta nightlife has reared its ugly head and now caused a corona outbreak with the Marlins. Now, Brian, from what you heard, and I also listened to some of the comments from the commissioner, I guess the idea now is that the Marlins will not be allowed to play for the next couple of games. They'll do a thorough round of testing and then come back again and resume the season. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, the Marlins have suspended their season for right now, and they're not playing any games through Sunday. They were supposed to play the Orioles, I believe, coming up. So they've had to the Orioles and the Yankees had to make some adjustments to their schedule. And then I think once Sunday rolls around, the Marlins will continue. They're in Philadelphia right now. That's where they started the season. They stayed in Philadelphia to do more testing. And then once Sunday rolls around, they'll see where the team is at. If they, and in order for a player to come back when they test positive for COVID-19, they have to test negative consecutive times. So they have to see where they're at that time. And if more players continue to recover and test negative, then we can see the Marlins come back. But as of right now, it looks like they've suspended the season.
I mean, that's just real crazy. Right in the middle of the season, it's almost like one team was like, "Hey, we can't play, y'all. We had some guys went out. They kind of did the wrong thing, so we're out. And we'll be back though in a couple of weeks. God bless." Yeah, so I think it's going to be a difficult way to process the season if you all of a sudden have these makeup games that you have to play, because all the teams have to play the same number of games, correct?
Yeah, I mean that's what it's been like for just baseball in general. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens at the end of September when the 60 game schedule comes to an end, to see how many games that the Marlins have to make up. Because again, like as you said, everyone has to play 60 games in order to see playoff seedings and things like that. And the playoffs are expanded this year instead, where it's up to 16 teams instead of 8. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm not sure how they're going to try to reschedule all those games in terms of travel and things like that. But it's something that Major League Baseball will have to find a way to get done.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is crazy. I think that Marlins basically jeopardized basically an entire league due to the fact that guys just had to hit the spots. Like, listen, I get it. It's easy for me to sit here, a guy, who's up in age now, doesn't hang out like in previous times. I'm not a world-class athlete. I don't have unlimited money. I can't make it rain anywhere right now, except for maybe if you want to get rained on by some pennies, I could do that. So you have a situation, man, where it's like it's easy for us to be critical of this bad behavior, but these guys have been cooped up for a long time. They now find themselves, like you say, in Atlanta, where it's party central, and the temptation evidently was too great. But hopefully, like you said, this is a learning lesson for all these guys, man, that they have to know that, you can't risk jeopardizing your team's health and the league's health because you want to have a good time on a Friday night. And I think all these players need to know this. And we're going to talk a little bit later with the NBA expert about what has happened in the NBA, because evidently somebody else couldn't stay home because they got hungry for some wings. So we'll talk about that as well. So like I said, man, this is just great stuff. Let's go in here and show other comments we might have on social media. Nothing yet. But we do have another guest. The one thing that we love about the Real Talk Sports Show is the lockdown living room is only locked down to Corona. But everybody else is a welcome guest on our show. And we have a young man that has plied his trade in the football field down in Florida. Played for, I believe, the University of South Florida, also played for the Orlando Predators, and now is a quarterback whisperer. We're going to bring in the one and only Baylen Trujillo to the show. Baylen, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Living the dream here in Orlando, Florida. How you doing today?
Hey, man, fantastic. Glad
There he
you
is.
could join us, sir. So we were talking a little bit earlier about some of the protocols that are going on here in Georgia, which I think Florida's the same. High school football is full throttle. They're starting their practice sessions. What are kind of you seeing down there in the Orlando area as far as high school and even college football?
Yeah, so they just had a meeting recently, actually last week even, and they actually pushed Orlando football back another week. I work with ESPN and WDBO radio station here. So I kind of got a little insight on some things that are happening, and the word on the street is they're not going to start football until maybe mid-October, and potentially if they get out of Florida High School Athletic Association, they could be starting in January for spring. So it's going to be an interesting time, but as of right now, the official start for high school football in Florida, especially in the Orlando area that I cover, it'll be right now, I think August 24th is the first official day. It was supposed to be July 27th, and then obviously that got pushed back to the 24th of August. But as of right now, that's what stands. But from what I know, is potentially going to be pushed back a little further, and then hopefully it gets started. But if not, they're probably going to push it to the spring. So I know there's a lot of attention right now, especially with Florida, especially with all the numbers going up. But as of right now, they're still trying to force it. There's a lot of money to be involved, especially in high school sports and the game of football, which brings in the most money for every high school. So I know that the FHSAA is trying to push high school sports to start as soon as possible. But there are threats of high schools, obviously with safety protocol, saying they don't feel comfortable starting, which would hopefully, not hopefully, but it will push it back to the spring. And Florida High School Athletic Association doesn't want to do that because now it conflicts with other sports, which means less money. But ultimately, they don't want to lose their teams or their schools within the association. So this is going to be an interesting time, especially with football. But as of right now, the 24th of August, it's a go.
Well, that sounds like what we have here in Georgia. Our first exhibition games are actually that same week, that third week of August 23rd. And then we got slated to roll out the season September 3rd. Matter of fact, the Real Talk Sports Show did Clinton County High School football last year, and we have once again been awarded the ability to cover and stream high school games, which is going to be interesting for us because we're going to try to do a not quite as virtual as what you're seeing with Major League Baseball. Myself and some of the other guys, we actually are going to look to actually go to the stadiums. The press box is so far removed away from the actual field. We think that we should be in good stead, but we are looking to bring a kind of unique way of watching and listening to high school football coming up this year, and we're excited about the challenge. As a matter of fact, a shameless plug, any of those of you who want to support high school football, high school sports, we are looking for sponsors. So please hit me up, 678-410-9833. We got some great sponsor packages available. We'd love to get your commercials on our broadcast and get you connected with the audience in a very unique way. So again, hit us up, 678-410-9833, the Real Talk Sports Show, looking for sponsors. So Baylor, tell us a little bit about kind of your journey. I know you were a top high school football player in Florida, went to South Florida, and then ended up with the Predators. What kind of got you started and got the football bug for you?
My dad played at the University of Central Florida, UCF, so I learned that at a very young age, and then I realized quickly that football was going to be my path only because at the age of 5, my dad turned my whole entire garage into a weight room, and I had no excuse but to work out. So starting at the age of 4, I did t-ball, then did basketball, then ultimately football at the age of 7, then it became year-round all the way up to my senior of high school, did all 3 sports year-round. So I would always compare myself to my friends that I grew up with, and they're out there hanging out with their friends and playing video games, whereas myself, I'd get home, my dad would make me obviously go into the weight room, we'd do a workout together, then as soon as that was over, we'd go to the field, throw the ball for like an hour, and then after that come home and shoot hoops for an hour, and then end the night going to a batting cage. And I'm telling you, this was like year-round, 365, even on holidays, all the way till, again, my senior of high school. So I knew football was going to be my path because that was the most passion that I had. I was probably more naturally gifted at baseball. That just became very easy to me. But football was my passion, and there was no greater feeling than scoring or throwing a touchdown. So I knew quickly like that was where I wanted to head and spend most of my focus on. And ultimately, again, through my dad and trying to kind of compare myself to him and not let him down in a sense, right? Because he was like my hero growing up, and so he set that standard for me. So again, doing that, I ultimately chose football, and then I've been blessed and fortunate enough to be around one of the best coaches in the area, Elijah Williams, who played at the University of Florida in the Atlanta Falcons. He was my head coach at Oak Ridge High School, where I transferred my senior year, and did some really good things there, which ultimately landed an opportunity at the University of South Florida, where I played, and then ended up transferring to Weber International University. Did really well there, got a championship my senior year, and then that led into pro sports, which is in the arena game, and then most notably last year ended with the Orlando Predators. So through my playing career, it's also opened up opportunities with me coaching, which now I train quarterbacks, and then I travel across the country and do big quarterback camps, where recently I did one in Charlotte last weekend, and this past weekend I did one in Orlando. So I'm doing a lot of things here and trying to make impact everywhere else other than the state of Florida, and again, reaching out to New Jersey, Charlotte, Texas, now I got reached out to by California and even overseas in Europe. So I'll be doing a lot of big things at the quarterback position, and that's really where my passion is. But again, my playing career has led me to that, and I'm still around the game. But ultimately, my dad is the reason why I focus on football and just push forward through that.
We tell people all the time how important fathers are in families, the big impacts that they make on, all the kids, but especially the sons, when they're able to come in and kind of put their arm around the son and kind of reinforce those values, man. So, kudos to Big Papa for making that happen. Tell people a little bit really quickly how they can find out more about your school, because evidently you certainly do an outstanding job of training quarterbacks. So is there websites and social media for people to find out how you turn guys into slingers?
Yeah, so I'm very big on social media. My Twitter is at Baylen Trujillo, which my name is right here. For those that don't see it, it's BAYLIN TRUJILLO. That is Twitter and Instagram. I also have a quarterback training page, Be True QB Training, as well as my advanced QB camp page. Again, I'm very big on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That's mainly for personal use, but I also have a quarterback and an advanced QB camp page. I have a website, BaylenTrujillo.com, where most of the guys they see what I'm doing and can reach me that way, where they'll find my number and email and all that through that. So, with that being said, again, I have a big following here in Orlando. This is my home. So that's where I train. And then, like I said, through my camps, I've been able to go out and venture out into the other states and meet quarterbacks that way. And then I travel when I do other camps for other guys. Or now I just, recently got invited to coach in an All-American game in December, where I'll be doing that as well with Brett Cooper All-American game for the top young junior classmen in the country. And so, I'm able to make connections and network that way and reach out to other trainers and quarterbacks. And then ultimately, some of these guys travel all the way to Orlando, make a vacation out of it, and I train them. So I'm also through this pandemic, which is, unfortunate situation, but it's also allowed me to strategically take my training to another level. So now I do a virtual school where every Saturday morning from 9:30 to 11:30, I'm doing a virtual school with Quincy Carter and Kevin Olson, which are two of some of my best friends who also play at the highest level. Obviously, Quincy Carter with the Dallas Cowboys, Kevin Olson played with the Miami Hurricanes and finished his career with the Charlotte 49ers. Obviously, we know his brother, Greg Olson, who's a part of this too as well. So we've been doing a virtual school quarterback 7-week series. This is our second time around doing it. So technically 14 weeks straight of doing this every Saturday, other than the fact when we have camps. So I'm able to reach quarterbacks all across the country and go over the mental side of things from that position, going over like pre-snap reads, coverages, defensive fronts, how to break down film, leadership quality, stuff like that. So, and through that, I've been able to meet other guys. Like I've had Kurt Warner on my show, Daniel Jones, Jeff Blake, Charlie Ward, Matt Grothy, some big time names on my virtual school. So I've been able to communicate, Chris Rick, stuff like that. So it's been such a blessing, man, through this pandemic, unfortunately, but it's able to kind of venture out and tap into the quarterback industry or the quarterbacks across the country in a unique and strategic way to keep going even when we're just quarantining at home.
Well, I tell you, man, I always appreciate the quarterbacks. We've had yourself and several other guys here. Speaking of Florida, we had a guy that applied his trade at the highest level. He was, I believe, a backup quarterback for Tampa Bay when they won the Super Bowl. He was second to Michael Vick in the Heisman. He's a fan favorite here in the Atlanta area because he played for Georgia Tech. Joe Hamilton, he's got a show here on 680 The Fan. So yeah, man, you quarterbacks really know how to make an impression. I think it's just the leadership aspect that is ingrained with anybody that plays that quarterback position that allows you guys to make that big impact, man. So I just enjoy the great stuff you guys are doing. We certainly want to see if we could link with you at some future date with virtual stuff. One of the things we like to try to do is bring on the young guys here. So as we go through the football season, we will have continual broadcasts where we have some guests to come on from the local high schools where these guys will be able to tell you a little bit about what they do on and off the field. So we'd love to do the same thing with you guys as well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. Hey, you know where to find me. I'm always here, stuff like that, especially.
Listen, Blaine, I appreciate you bopping in here. I know it's a kind of a last minute. You got a busy schedule. One more time before we let you go, let people know website and social media where they can find out more about what you're doing. And the guy I like to just call the quarterback whisperer.
No, I appreciate that. No, again, social media wise, you can follow me on Twitter, which is my most active. I'm on there like 24/7. That's at Baylen Trujillo, which is at BAYLIN TRUJILLO. Instagram, same thing. That's my main page at Baylen Trujillo. Then I have my quarterback page, which is BTRU, TRU with no E, QB training. And then my advanced QB camp page, which is at advanced QB camp. That's on Instagram. And then we move over to Facebook. I have, Facebook pages. If you just type in the same thing, advanced QB camp, you'll see it, the like button, and you'll get updates on what's going on there, as well as my Baylen Trujillo quarterback training page. Hit a like there. And then you can see what I'm doing there. And then obviously my website, BaylenTrujillo.com, that I kind of update that. I have a social media lady that updates my website. So whenever, I get the information out on my other platforms, she kind of updates that and keeps that afloat. So again, there's multiple ways. Obviously my emails and all my flyers. I'm very big on marketing and communication. So whenever I'm doing something, trust me, it'll be posted over and over again. So there's no excuses on not knowing what I'm doing, where I'll be at, and how you can get a hold of me. But other than that, I'm always available. So, it's always last minute things that happen, but I'm always available and I make time for things that are important. And this is important to me. So I appreciate you definitely having me on the show and being a part of this.
Listen, man, we appreciate you as well. And we look forward to having you back on with some of the guys from the camp, especially when we get to some of the All-Star games. We can preview some of the great talent that you guys will have coming down there as well. God bless, man. Take care.
Yes, sir. God bless you too, guys. Thank you again for having me.
Quarterback whisperer Baylin Trujillo was with us here. And speaking of breaking news, we have a gentleman in our green room that has agreed to come in and talk to us because he was right in the middle of it today. He's the embedded beat writer for AJC Sports for our Atlanta Falcons, an award-winning sports writer. You know him simply as D-Leg. D. Orlando Ledbetter, welcome back, kind sir.
Hey, thank you, Reverend. Pleasure to be back, and thanks for having me on the show again tonight.
Hey, man, so definitely you were on, ground zero. Falcons are back. We saw all kind of pictures and videos of guys heading back into camp. What kind of is your feeling of the vibe as the Falcons return back to business?
Everybody's trying to make it seem like it's normal, but, it's really not. So, they're easing into things. They're going to do some testing. Make sure, things are okay, and then try to get rolling and try to get to September 13th when they play Seattle. First Falcon to test positive was Jalen Hawkins, a 4th-round pick today, showed up on the team's reserve COVID-19 list. So, we were expecting that. You got 90 people coming in. Somebody's going to, we don't know if it initially it was reported that they were all clear because they didn't show up on the list the first 2 days. But then today he showed up on the list. So we'll try to, the team can't talk about it. We've reached out to his agent, Dave Butts, to try to find out, what's going on. But yeah, the veterans are back, and now they'll start testing and then start to try to get ready for the season and follow the football protocols.
Wow. So it's going to be interesting. Have you gotten any feedback to when any media personnel might have any access at all to Flowery Branch?
Yeah, it's going to be 8 people. The first days are going to be Monday and Tuesday. I think that's the 3rd and the 4th. Then after that, they won't start practicing until the 16th, 17th of August. And at that point, it's 10 people that are allowed in for the media, 4 set spots for the AJC, Associated Press, The Athletic, and ESPN, and then 4 rotating spots. They'll move around through the media who regularly cover the team. And then you have 2 pool reporters from AP and AJC. And then that spot may rotate too. So it's going to be limited media gatherings, but we'll have pool reports and try to get as much information out of there to the Falcons fans as we can.
Well, certainly we're going to be relying on you as much as you are available to give us these updates, brother, because we hope to be in that cycle. I think Brian is the same feeling that we hope to kind of get in that loop at some point. But the realities are that the larger guys like AP, ESPN, of course, yourself of being with AJC and you being really the main guy, we're going to have to rely on you quite a bit. All right, so now we know camp is open. We certainly saw Todd Gurley coming in with great fanfare. Again, just kind of go with us as far as that pecking order. We know obviously Todd Gurley is going to be the featured back. Are you still pretty much in the corner of Ito Smith being the next guy up after Todd Gurley?
I like a committee. I like the committee, Reverend. And that Ito depends on where you at down in distance, what part of the field. And that committee is Ito, Brian Hill, and Quadri Olison. If I need a yard, I want Olison. If Gurley needs a break on a 3rd down, I want Ito. If I'm inside the 20, I need to get 4 or 5 yards. I won't heal. So I think they all got specific skills that, Coach Dirk and Coach Quinn will try to use them in that kind of way. But if somebody goes down and have to carry the load, I'd like to see the second-year guy step up and be that big bruising back that the Falcons had with Michael Turner. So maybe Gurley and Olsen would be my. If you asked the question, who do you want to be? I guess I wanted to be Olsen.
Yeah, Quadri is a guy. We got a chance to talk to him, obviously, after a couple of games. Matter of fact, guys, if you want to go on my YouTube page, you'll see a real kind of moment as Ed Reed, Hall of Famer from the Baltimore Ravens, stopped by and gave Ollie some encouragement. So that was really cool to be in the locker room when that happened. And yeah, man, I just think that he's the guy that, being a big back needs to touch that rock. And I think if you could find a way to up the number of carries that Quadri Allison would give you, I think that it would be some impact, because as you mentioned, those big boys, they put a lot of wear and tear on you to try to tackle them, down after down.
Yeah, no question. We've seen them have some issues in short yardage situations, but he was able to pick up some short yardage situations last year and score some touchdowns. So yeah, I'd like to see if he can add a little bit more onto his plate this year.
Barbs, I want to go to you for a second here. I know that you are obviously, the lady of the Ultimate Dog Nation, but I mean, how excited are dog fans that Todd Gurley is once again donning the red and black, even though it's for a pro team now?
Oh my goodness. It was like he was back at Georgia, and they're still just barking over that. I'm telling you. I mean, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, there are some dogs when they, go to the NFL, of course, you want them to do well, and some just really touch your heart. And Todd is one of those that really touched all our hearts, because not only, he's represented the school well, but he still embodies the spirit of the Georgia Bulldogs. So yeah, he's still, when you see him out, he'll have on his red and black, and he's still saying "Go Dogs." So we love him. We're very excited to see him wearing the red and black again. Truly excited about it.
Well, before
it's like he came back home.
And I think all Georgia fans feel the same way. Before we go to social media, as you know, guys, we're only on from 8 to 9 on WIGO doing the audio, so we want to give a sign off to all those who have been listening to us on WIGO AM 1570 Atlanta's Incredible Radio, listening to us either in your car or on WIGOAM.com, or for those of you who don't know, we are on the free TuneIn Radio app. Put in WIGO 1570 in the search engine, and voila, you will find us broadcasting to you right here and right now. Big shout out again to our producer back at WIGO, Minister Eli Smith. If you guys like gospel music of all types, tune in to him Monday through Friday, with the exception of Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon for the Eli Smith Show. He brings you a great variety of gospel music, old school, new school. He's got it all. Check him out again on WIGOAM.com. Listen, for everybody at WIGO, you know, we have to sign off every single week. God bless you and have a great night. Well, for those of you who are still here on social media, we want to go back to social media. We've got some comments. I believe a question here for D. Orlando Leber. Let's pop it up here on the screen from Stephen Johnson. D-Led, there's the question that he's asking. He's saying, any whispers about bringing in a cornerback to help the young guys who we have back there since Trufant is gone?
Well, they drafted a cornerback in the first round. They're counting on A.J. Terrell to come in and help them out. They do have a little bit of money, but I don't think there are a lot of cornerbacks out there available. But we haven't heard anything about them trying to get one.
Yeah, I think that you're right. I think they brought in Terrell, and for those of you who don't know, Terrell's a local guy, plays high school football right here in the Atlanta metro area. So again, Atlanta fans will have lots to cheer for with the Falcons as well. But yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a changing of the guard up there in Flowery Branch. And D-Led, you've seen it. We had a team that was crafted to win a Super Bowl. They had two shots at it, both in 2012 and 2016. In both cases, unfortunately, they fell short. So, you know, a lot of those guys off of those teams, ironically, on the Falcons all-decade team, are not there. So we're looking for the Falcons to kind of rebuild and make things happen as we go along this season for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. They're going to be counting on some of these young guys, that they drafted in the last couple of years. They're going to have to play them. The big thing for the Falcons, the big wild card is, hey, can Keanu O'Neal make it back? Can he make it back and provide a stabilizing force on the back end of that defense? If they can get him back, that'll fix a lot of their problems.
There's no question that Conor O'Neal he's the thumper. He's also kind of like our Cam Chancellor. And with him coming back, it would make an entirely different look for that Falcons team because of what he does and because of the way that, now, of course, we know it's not a Dan Quinn defense anymore per se, but he's a huge factor on what we can do defensively on that team. Again, guys, you're watching the Real Talk Sports Show and listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. We are located in the lockdown living room just 20 miles away from downtown Atlanta. Talking some sports here. Normally, ladies' night, second and fourth nights of the month. And we have just one lady holding it down. She says, that's all we need, just me. Miss Iris Bambo Carter of the Ultimate Dog Nation in the building with us here, making sure that us gentlemen here behave ourselves. So we thank Iris for that. Because y'all already know, you see that look. If we don't act right, we're going to get something that get it straightened out. Well, D-Led, again, looking at the way the Falcons are set up and thinking about the way this team is and the way other teams have kind of rebuilt. We look across the NFC South, and it's as strong as it's ever been, with the exception of maybe Carolina, some question marks there at the quarterback position. But is this a team that you think can realistically, once again, win NFC South and find themselves going deep in the NFL playoffs?
Well, I've been reading up, getting ready for the season and looking at a lot of the analytics and so forth. And a lot of people have them at 8-8, 7-9. They don't think you can carry over anything from one season to the next. There are too many variables. But one thing they do agree with is that, hey, it's a passing league, and the Falcons have a passing offense. So they got a quarterback and some weapons. Yeah. But everybody agrees on that. But everything else is up in the air. The line block, and they keep Matt Ryan upright. Can they stop the run? They should be able to stop the run, but they couldn't cover anybody last year and couldn't get any pass rush. So those questions haven't been answered in the offseason. So they're gonna go into the season as a question mark, as a middle of the pack team with the opportunity to play themselves up. No, we can't sit here and call this a Super Bowl contending team right now.
Brian, on a national level, you covered the Packers for a long time with 24/7. What are you hearing across on the national airwaves as far as any buzz at all about the Falcons and what they can do?
Well, from a national perspective, I think you hear a lot about this team not being able to get over what happened in the Super Bowl in 2016. They do like what Matt Ryan and Julio Jones bring to the table, but there's some question marks defensively when it comes to the pass rush. So, I've been seeing a lot of 7-9, 8-8, finishing third in the NFC South behind the New Orleans Saints and Carolina Panthers. So, but at the same time, this team did finish 6-2 the second half of the year. So, Falcons fans are hoping this team can build on what they did last year and hopefully turn things around. But I think from a national perspective, they like the weapons they have offensively, but there's just too many question marks on defense in order for them to be considered a Super Bowl contender or even a favorite to win the NFC South.
Yeah, speaking of defense, D-Led, what do you think that this team can do as far as sacks? That's kind of been the Falcons' weak link for years. They can't seem to get to the quarterback. Now they bring in a guy that is kind of, I told people their numbers and career-wise are very similar when you talk about Dante Fowler and Vic Beasley. But he's coming off his best year, double-digit sacks. Tack McKinley, a guy that we think is good for double-digit sacks. And now the middle, obviously Grady Jarrett and the big fella out of Auburn. Do you think this Falcons team can finally get enough of a pass rush? I'm not trying to say to be in the top 5 in the league, but at least to get them a solid enough pass rush that this team can improve substantially on defense.
Coach. Coach Dan believes, that's his specialty. He's a defensive guy. He's brought in Tosh Lupo from Cleveland and Alabama. So he's coached some of the top, defensive linemen coming into the league out of Alabama in recent years, and then Myles Garrett in Cleveland. So what they're counting on is all those guys getting a little bit better. Maybe Fowler, they know how to use him because Coach Dan had him at Florida. And so he could play off of Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett could play off of him. That should be a pretty formidable duo. If you put those two together, you can tell the team. So, they got a shot to have a good pass rush.
Well, again, there's no question that that this team again has a ton of potential in terms of being able to get something done. But it is going to be a situation where they need to rush the passer. I mean, because this is now, as you said, a passer's league. So if you can't put pressure on the quarterback, you're not going to be able to consistently win games. Especially now, I don't care whether he's 52. You have Tom Brady now in the mix, a guy that is a drop back quarterback. He's not that mobile. So if this team could find some way to get some pressure, and the same thing with Drew Brees. I know they have. I'm drawing a blank now. The quarterback they bring in for specialty situations, but he's not a Drew Brees. So if the Falcons can get some pass rush, this is a team I think can make some noise. But without that, you have a very questionable defensive backfield, I think, and you got too many holes.
Yeah, that's a problem in this league when players you have for a while, you gotta let them go because they cost too much and so forth. I mean, nothing was wrong with True Font. He was one of the top corners in the league. Maybe they didn't like him because he wasn't a rah type and everything, but he certainly was a good player, one that they should have considered keeping around. But Isaiah Oliver, they drafted him. He's got to play now. Kendall Sheffield's got to play. There are some corners out there on the market like Dirk Quez, Denard, and the kid from the Jets, and the kid from Tennessee that was cut, Logan. So there are some veterans that could play out there, and the Falcons, they're not going to get to test. They're not going to. They're not going to play anybody in the exhibition season, so they're going to open up with Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott, and then Trubisky, Foles, and then Aaron Rodgers. So the first 4 games, we'll know what the secondary looks like right away.
Oh, no doubt. They're going to have their challenges, right out of the box. Obviously, with Russell Wilson, because not only is he a good passer of the ball, but because of his mobility, he's just a tough out. He has a way to extend plays. And I know, Brian, you saw that with Aaron Rodgers, his ability not so much to run the ball, but his ability to extend plays and make big plays out of busted plays.
Oh, no question about it. And I think obviously the Packers do play the Falcons later on in the season. And, Aaron Rodgers, when you look at what he's done in his career, obviously he's going to go down as one of the best to ever play. So the Falcons, when they play him, they're going to have their hands full. Now, it just was reported today that Devin Funchess, who they added in the offseason, he's opting out because of COVID-19. So when it comes to weapons, they're going to rely on Devontae Adams, obviously Aaron Jones, Allen Lazard, some young receivers offensively. But again, it does when you have Aaron Rodgers, when you're able to have the offensive line the Packers do, and it's a very stable offensive line, the Falcons are going to have their hands full when they face the Packers in the later stages of the season. So it should be an interesting matchup, and I think the Packers come into the 2020 season as the favorites to win the NFC North, and their team coming off a NFC Championship appearance against the 49ers. They have some question marks defensively, kind of like what the Falcons do, but they have a pass rush with Za'Darius Smith and Preston Smith. It's just, can they stop the run? Can that secondary hold up? So I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup in the early stages of the 2020 season.
I think it's going to be a real test. D-Led, how important is it for the Falcons to get off to a fast start? Because it seems like with Dan Quinn, that's been a little bit of a bugaboo.
Yeah, it's very important, Reverend. 1-7 last year, 1-4 the year before that. His teams have all been streaky. Even going back to the first team where they started 6-2 and ended up 8-8. So he's got to get that happy area back where they can play consistent ball at a long period of time. But yeah, it's very important for them. Just because the slow starts have kind of buried them in the last couple years. So getting off to a good start without any exhibition games is going to be key. They were going to scrimmage with Buffalo and Miami because they were going to steal a page from Coach Mike Smith's book. Have the joint practices and get your lines ready to play because that's work. It worked. It was clear. You don't play them in these exhibition games, so you're just looking at rookies and stuff. So it's going to be tough to get them ready, but I think we're going to have some stories coming up here in the next couple of weeks on how the old school scrimmage is going to come back, where they're going to scrimmage and tackle or at least touch each other down to get ready for the season. You might see Grady Jarrett working with Matt Hennessy, trying to get the rookie ready. You might see Alex Mack trying to get Marlon Davidson ready. Your other side of your line that are already pros and stuff are going to have to get these young guys and teach them what it's like in the NFL trenches, since you're not going to be playing against anybody else.
Well, those guys you mentioned are, they're about taking care of their business. Now, you mentioned Matt Hennessy really quickly. His role for the Falcons this year, and then let's fast forward a year or two down the road.
Well, he was a center coming out of Temple. Was recruited by Coach Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech now. So Alex Mack is 34, and he's in the last year of that 5-year, $45 million contract. He's earned the right to say, hey, I want to keep playing. If he wants to keep playing, then you find, $8 million for him, you bring him back. Now, if he doesn't want to, you do a 2-year contract, spread it over that. But as long as you got a top shelf center, you try to keep them. Some of them can go longer than 35. They can Manigault played for a while. Some of them played, past 35. But Mac said he wanted to play 10 years, and he's already topped that. And he said he's year to year at this point. So if he doesn't come back next year, Matt Hennessy's already in place, and you can give him a go, and you hope it works out a lot better than the transition from Todd McClure to Peter Collins. That didn't work out too good for him. So that's where they at. They're back in that same place, but maybe Hennessy can do a better job than Peter Collins did moving forward.
Peter Collins. There's a name that brings Falcons fans a lot of excitement right there. Speaking of excitement here, as always, social media is still buzzing. Scorpio Legree says that they should be good if they're able to pull all these missing and interesting pieces together. See, I think everybody is kind of wondering and hoping, can the Falcons do what they need to do? Well, D-Led, I know we're closing up on our time with your segment. So as always, let people know how they can find out more about you, social media, website, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, we tweet everything out on Twitter at DOrlandoAJC. You can go to the webpage, ajc.com, and bookmark the Falcons page and get all of our covers there. And also on Facebook, our Atlanta Falcon News Now page. We'd like for you to hit that like button and come back and leave some comments and interact with the staff and the Falcon fans. They have a good community there, and they're nice. So that's another reason to go there. So those are the key places for us on social media.
Well, I like that. All of those things. I like the fact that one last page is no haters. So that's good stuff there. Listen, D-Led, as always, we appreciate you, man, taking time out of your busy schedule. Again, I hope you got broad shoulders, brother, because everybody and their brother's going to be calling you now. So hopefully you still have a little bit of room left over for the Real Talk Sports Show to come in here and give us the updates on our Atlanta Falcons.
Sure, no problem, Reverend Simmons. I always will come by and talk to Real Sports. Appreciate you having me.
D-Led, appreciate you so much, man. Have a blessed one.
All right, you too.
But as D led, like I said, he's right on the scene there with all that's going on with the Falcons. So again, hopefully he'll be able to keep us abreast of what's cooking. Well, Iris, there's been obviously stuff going on with your Georgia Bulldogs. Any breaking news? I know you said on the broadcast there are no COVID tests, but anything else that we should be looking for from your Bulldogs?
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know if this had already happened last time I was on the show, but of course, JT Daniels did get clearance to play this year. That's big for the team because of coronavirus, because you need to have everybody available to play because you never know who's going to be quarantined for a week or two. With that being said, of course, I'm always trying to dig and try to find some information on how the practices are going. And I did find something too. Now, Jonathan, you may be aware that I do these little articles. I write articles each week about at least one of the dogs or a comparison. And I wrote one about Jamie Newman. I was impressed with that one. And I also wrote one about JT Daniels, kind of comparing the two. But what I'm hearing from the camp is that Jamie Newman is the one that's pretty much leading the way of all the quarterbacks. Now, they say all the quarterbacks are doing pretty good, but Jamie is the one that has really taken to the Monken offense and is leading the pack of all the other quarterbacks. The one quarterback that is getting the most, I guess you'd call it love or support from the rest of the team members is Dwan Mathis. And it's rightfully so, based on what he's gone through and being cleared to play. So it looks like, based on that, all four quarterbacks, Carson Beck, of course, and JT Daniels, they're all doing great in camp. Some of the freshmen that are kind of standing out, no shock here, is what's his name? Darnell Washington. They said that, of course, Trey McKitty is doing great, but don't be surprised because of Darnell Washington's size and that he's taken to the Monken offense pretty nicely so far that you'll kind of see him in the mix. And what's his name? Jalen Carter is the one, the freshman that is standing out amongst all the other freshmen. There is an issue with one of the pretty much the starting offensive line. There's an opening there, and not necessarily saying that they don't know like the people that are competing aren't up to par, but it's so much good competition there that it's hard to tell who's going to come out of that pack and win that starting job. So that's kind of what I have right now, all positive information. Dominic Blaylock has really healed from his injury, ACL. Apparently, too, JT Daniels has as well from his ACL injury.
Well, it sounds like Georgia is trying to ready to go. It sounds like they're ready for Bears. Yeah. So we're excited about looking forward to the season. Now, one last thing here as we get closer to the end of the broadcast. All right, so we're anticipating SEC going with an all-conference schedule. +1, are you and everybody else with +1 has to be Georgia Tech?
Well, you know what? I was listening to one of the other podcasts earlier today. The issue specifically with Georgia is that we have 2 ACC teams scheduled this year. We got Virginia, beginning of the season, of course, always Georgia Tech. So they haven't really figured out if they're going to even allow us to even play that extra game of Virginia. Right now, it's still a go. From Virginia's end, too, they're still anticipating playing us at the beginning of the season. So that's still up in the air. I don't know if they've actually even ruled that it's only going to be SEC games +1 yet. I know that's something that they've been thinking about. And an expanded playoff, too, because the season would be shortened.
Well, again, hopefully we'll be able to see a big season out of the Dogs, and they can do some great stuff this year, because it's very, very important when we look at this team that they are able to kind of move the needle and take the next step, which, as we all know, is a national title. I mean, Georgia has knocked at the door repeatedly, and the fans, I think even the pundits, for this team to take that next step, they have to win a national title. As much as we enjoy those Bulldogs. We're going to need them to win a title. If not this year, surely next year. Brian, would you not agree the national buzz is the Bulldogs got to win a national title at this point?
You know, it's funny because I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about, I think one of the Georgia fans sent him an email asking him about if Kirby Smart's going to be on the hot seat. I think what Kirby Smart has done is he's recruited really well. And because of that, the expectations of Georgia are always high, but now they're through the roof. And especially with him going to the national championship game in 2017 and coming up just short of winning the national championship, Georgia fans want this team to get over the hump. It's been since 1980 since they've won a national title, and they're just getting impatient. But when you look at it, Georgia has put together, they're a really good football team, and they put together some good years under Kirby Smart. Now, when it comes to Georgia fans, whether it's fair or not, they're going to call out Kirby Smart if they struggle. If let's just say this year, if they end up second place in the SEC East to Florida, and then Florida goes on to win the SEC and the national championship, fans are going to be all over Kirby Smart, and whether it's right or wrong because of Florida winning another national championship. So the pressure is on Georgia and Kirby Smart to win a national title. They definitely have the talent. There are some question marks, but it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this season, especially with everything going on with the COVID-19 pandemic. But I think, and again, I think it's a little bit unfair, but if they don't win a national title this year or next year, or don't even come close to winning the SEC, I think Kirby Smart hot seat is going to be a little warm.
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm not in the Ultimate Dog Nation. I'm not a diehard Bulldog fan, but man, if they messed around and let the Florida Gators win the SEC East, woo! Listen, any other team besides Georgia win the SEC East, the flame will be so hot under Curdy Tookish that he'd have to get a fire extinguisher and a block of ice. Yeah, there's just no question in my mind that it would just put an enormous amount of pressure on them. They have to, just right now, here's the expectations for Georgia. They have to win the SEC East, number one. Number two, they have to contend for a national title. And really, the expectation is for them to win the SEC, which obviously puts them in a position to contend for a national title because they've already done it. I mean, they've already done it. They've already shown that they're a good enough school because of Kirby's recruiting to be able to field a team that is a national champion. So there's no question in my mind that if they can't do that, or if, God forbid, one of the other Eastern teams sneaks by them and gets into that championship, I think you can even see by Iris's face that would be a problem in Bulldog Nation.
I'm gonna tell you what, I have to chime in on this and say, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We ain't worried about no Florida Gator. Come on now. I mean, you know what? Yeah, they'll probably finish second again, but you know who we need to be? We need to beat the Alabama Crimson Tide. We ain't worried about no Florida Gators. Come on. Bye.
Sneak by you, whether it be the Gators, whether it be Tennessee. Yeah, Georgia has to win the SEC East, obviously, and they really need to win the SEC title.
I would agree with that. Yes, but at this juncture, I mean, I know, you know, I've read what the so-called experts have written. I also do a lot of research too, and it's funny how I'm a writer, so how you will pin something to make it seem like it's one thing, but you leave out a huge chunk. That's part of your puzzle. So if you don't have the whole puzzle together and you only emphasizing this one little section, then that's misleading. And so when you've heard some of these so-called analysts, experts pick the Gators to win the SEC East, they leave out a huge chunk about the fact that they don't have a running game. Yeah, they have a skilled quarterback, but our two, JT Daniels and Jamie Newman, I would take them any day over what's his name? Kyle Trask. So none of this makes any sense. I guess the thing is it's something for people to read and something for people to debate, and to also give the Florida Gators a little bit of little bit of comfort. But no, I would take Kirby Smart over Dan Mullen any day. Pretty much the entire Georgia team. Now I will agree with you, Brian, that the clock is ticking. I mean, the dogs have got to get it done. And this year is no different from any other year. I know it's a COVID year, but it's still no different from any other year. The dogs have got to at least get invited to the playoff to get, at least that far to make a splash. Yeah.
Well, once again, we're at that time. So we have to get everybody to kind of sign off and do their due diligence. I think Irish, we're going to go to you first. Tell people how they can find out more about you, social media. And of course, I know you also have some personal blogs that you do as well.
Yes. You can find me at the Ultimate Dog Nation. I always put the name up there so you guys would know. Of course, my name, Iris Carter. You can find me. That's my personal Facebook page. I do a lot of stuff. Baylin was on the show earlier, and of course, you had Brett Cooper on a week before, and Quincy Carter 3-4 weeks ago. So I do some work for those guys at the Quincy Carter National Sports page. So I actually run that page as well. And let's see, that's pretty much it.
Well, that's a full plate in and of itself. Well, listen, we appreciate you as not only for being on the show, we also appreciate all the great stuff you do behind the scenes and helping us coordinate some really phenomenal guests. And we look forward to having you back on again, either next week or the week after, depending on what's breaking as far as news in the Georgia nation.
Definitely. Will do. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Brian, man, it's always a pleasure. You have been a stalwart on our show. We all appreciate you, man, coming in, filling in. We had things happen when you're doing something live, so we appreciate you able to take out your schedule and drop in here and talk to us about, all the things you do. Because really, man, the one thing that's really cool is you really kind of have your hands in like a lot of different things. So how can people find out more about you and the stuff you're doing both in sports and in pop culture?
Yeah, so I'm the trending sports writer for popculture.com, and you can find my work at popculture.com/sports, and we cover pretty much everything when it comes to the NFL, NBA, college, even pro wrestling. So you can definitely find all of that on popculture.com/sports. And for any trending or entertainment news, you can go to popculture.com. We just cover anything, whatever everyone's talking about, whether it's Regis Philbin passing away, stimulus checks. You can definitely find all of that at popculture.com. You can also find me on Twitter. That's at BrianJones_PC. And then I also have a podcast, which is called Always Football Season. You can find that on any major podcasting platform, whether it's Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio. You just type in Always Football Season. You should be able to find it. And I have a Facebook page for the podcast. You go facebook.com/Always Football Season.
Well, I tell you, man, that's all good stuff there. And now you mentioned, and I mentioned briefly before we go, you talked about Regis Philbin. That was a guy that really, man, for probably about 15 or 20 years, I just enjoyed watching him. My mother enjoyed watching him. And we actually lived, of course, in a much different domicile, but we lived probably about a half hour to 20 minutes north of him. Him and Kathy Lee both had some wonderful mansions down in Greenwich, Connecticut. We weren't too far away in Norwalk. And yeah, man, just a great guy, great personality, and great encouragement from me. Now that I'm kind of getting a little older, it seems like the same thing. I got involved in sports, and I've seen some of my successes come later on in life. And so he's always been a great inspiration because he really got big when he was in his 50s, on the Regis and Kathy Lee show. And certainly, of course, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? He just was phenomenal on both of those shows. And so, again, condolences to all of his family, both his personal family and all the people who were involved with him in his show. So, I'm glad you brought that up at the end because he just was a great guy. Well, guys, we always like to close the broadcast with an appeal to you about your spiritual life. I never like to let that go because I am, in fact, a real live minister. Want to encourage you, if you don't know Jesus Christ for yourself as your personal Savior, please, ma'am, please, sir, get to know him today. Why? Because nobody, absolutely nobody loves you like him. Not your mom, not your auntie, not grandmom and them. Nobody loves you like Jesus. Why? Because he made you and he, in fact, died for you. So to get to know him, all you have to do is repent of your sins, believe that he died and was risen from the dead, and voila, you'll be a born-again believer, and a couple of cool things will happen. Number one, you will have a life more well-lived because the Spirit of God, don't ask me how this happens, drops a little portion of his Spirit in you, so you're able to actually live in a way that's more pleasing to the Lord himself, and that is your passcode key, that when you leave here, you go to the happy place called heaven. That's right, the place where the streets are paved with gold that's so clear, it's translucent. And ladies, good news, every single one of the 12 gates is a giant pearl, and every potential possible jewel you can think of adorns that place. And guess what? There's no pandemic, no protest, and no pain in the happy place. And last but not least, you can avoid going to the other place that starts with H, that bad place called hell. Nobody wants to go there because it ain't going to be happy there. Well, again, we appreciate all those of you who have watched this program, joined us on Periscope, on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. Those of you who are listen to us on WIGOAM 1570, those of you who watch or listen to the program on our website, realtalksports.net, we thank each and every one of you. And Brian, again, we thank you for being the pinch hitter that you were here tonight, sir.
Anytime. Yeah.
And that's only fitting for a guy who covers baseball, right? To be the pinch hitter.
Exactly.
So, right. Listen, man, we appreciate you. And everybody, listen, until the next time, God bless you and have a great night. So long, guys.